my village is just next to the Ladakh region in India. So I grew up there. I used to see the mountains from my villages in India. Like I can easily see that like snowy mountains, snow-covered mountains in the at the Indian side. And I have also been to the last village from the Pakistani side, where you can easily see the people moving in the villages which is now under the Indian administration. You can see people going there, animals and cows moving, horses moving, but unfortunately you cannot cross that little small bridge, and you cannot go and meet them. Even maybe if you go closer to them, maybe you can hear their voices, but you cannot meet them. And if you have to meet, you have to travel all along this Wagah border and different cities in India.
That time I started thinking, I started writing, I started working about Indo-Pak issues. And what I found कि हम दरअसल हिंदुस्तान में रह के, इंडिया में रह के, we never know what is happening in Pakistan. So we were not aware कि how Pakistani people are.
So it's like this: when you grow up in your country, you are just exposed to everything around you, the news, the media, your, let's say, relatives around, your parents. And so we, like, since we are children, we never go to the other side and actually meet the people. So our, let's say, understanding is just a bit concentrated on what we learn around us. And what we learned from the beginning was that, yeah, we were like one country before, but we separated, and now our politics don't match. We have different interests. Well, in some ways, let's say it like that. And it's a bit more focused that we are rivals, so we have to be better than them. This is really focused on since the beginning.
All of our teaching in our schools, they give us the idea how Pakistan got the independence from India, how they got separated from each other. And it was during that time that I realized about this Pakistan-India situation.
I think in my case it was fairly quite young because my dad was in the army. So he served the Indian Army for over 22 years. So my initial memory of hearing about Pakistan dates back to when I was like say 3 years old, when I never saw my father in my house, or he never came down to my school to pick me up and things. So that's when I realized that dad's in the borders fighting for the country, or he's doing and fighting for the country. Who is he fighting for? Like who's he fighting against? That was Pakistan for me.
If you're growing up and you're learning about this stuff, then probably you will remember it for the rest of your life. Unless you start thinking about it, that okay, maybe this is not the case. Maybe there is no conflict that we got taught is not the same thing that's happening. But the point is that if we learn about this stuff from an early age, and then most of the people, they remember that we have a conflict.
When I started growing up, like 4 to 5 years, and then I got to know, I used to overhear the conversations my parents used to have with my relatives and their friends and everybody. My nani used to come to my place, and they used to talk about all these things, what Muslims did to us, and all these. It was that time when like some of the riots were happening in Meerut, Hindu-Muslim riots. So they used to talk about all these things, what had happened, what initiated all these things in the right. So they always used to say that Muslims are like that. They have already done so much harm to our country and so much harm to us, all of us, and it's because of them that our country are like we got partition, divided and all everything. So they always, I used to overhear that conversation. I used to ask my mom, Mama, why is that? I mean, ऐसा क्यों होता है? Because I've had Muslim friends in my school, and they were very good to me. And I told her that they're so nice people. Why do we have so many reservations when it comes to Muslims? Why not other people? Like we have Sikhs, we have Punjabis, we have Gujaratis also, all kinds of people. Like we have Christians also. I was studying in a convent. No reservation to any other society, any other culture, any other religion, but why only when it comes to Muslims? So then she told me, beta, they are not good people. They haven't done good to us in the past. So I used to say, "Acha, theek hai." What my mom told me, I understood, but I never accepted this thing because what I was learning was entirely different from what my parents or what my relatives taught me.
ऐसा कुछ खास मतलब ये होता था कि जब हम किसी भी ऐसे एरियाज से हम पास होते थे, सपोज वी वी आर गोइंग टू स्कूल, सो देर वाज अ रिक्शा इन विच वी ऑल स्टूडेंट्स वेंट टुगेदर टू स्कूल, एंड देर वेर फ्यू एरियाज वेयर मुस्लिम्स लिव. तो वो एरियाज़ के पास जो है वो अचानक कोई रिक्शे वाला भी बोलने लगता था, या स्टूडेंट्स, इवन स्टूडेंट्स वेयर वेरी शॉक्ड कि नाउ वी आर एंटरिंग इन एरियाज ऑफ पाकिस्तान. तो मतलब इट वाज सम काइंड ऑफ मीन्स इम्पिंजिंग फियर इन आवर माइंड्स कि जो है कि कुछ है यहाँ पे, कुछ ख़तरा है. तो वहाँ पे डर लगता था अंदर से, मतलब वी वेयर इन फियर कि जो है कुछ डर की बात है यहाँ पे. मगर ये है कि कभी कुछ हुआ नहीं, मतलब वो चीज़ें, वो डर रहा लेकिन वो चीज़ें गुजरती गई ऐसे ही. लेकिन उस डर की वजह से ये ज़रूर हुआ कि, और चूँकि हमारा जो स्कूल्स थे, उन स्कूल्स में वी डिडंट मेट मैनी मुस्लिम फ्रेंड्स. तो नहीं थे हमारे साथ, बहुत कम थे, शायद उनके स्कूल्स अलग थे उस वक्त भी. तो बहुत ज़्यादा तो कोई ऐसी दोस्ती नहीं हो पाई उस वक्त. तो इस वजह से वो डर शायद जारी रहा लोगों का, मेरा भी.
I was too much anti-Muslims. I was definitely, and then I studied in a university which was a Muslim university. I was in Jamia Millia Islamia, and they were fanatics. Definitely, some of them were very fanatics, but some were very good also. I won't say that. So my views were, I was against them. But I think slowly and slowly, opening with this Facebook and meeting a lot of people, everybody is not the same. They are good Hindus, they are good Muslims, bad Hindus and bad Muslims. That's what I can say.
So, for example, there was a Muslim teacher and there was me in the class, and the student said that Holi was a very tough time for them because balloons were being thrown upon them, and nobody was listening to them, and they feared going out on streets. And the teacher said that, "Oh, I love Holi," and I was like totally colored in Holi, and I remarked that I don't play Holi. It's not one of my kind of festivals. So the teacher immediately pointed to the girls. She said, "Look, this is a way. There's no Hindu-Muslim divide. She doesn't celebrate Holi. I celebrate Holi. And still we are connected. We are friends."
I met so many friends. Like I've made so many friends in Pakistan. I still did. I have some like 7-8 very good friends. And out of all those 7-8 friends, there's one person who's really very close to me. He's from Lahore, but he's presently working in Islamabad. And I don't know how it happened. Like we started having a conversation, and it all happened through social media only. All through social media, and people may find it weird that how we came so close to each other, but yes, it did happen that we really came close to each other. And there was a time when you used to talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, sharing things. So first I told my father about him, because I knew if I'll tell my father, he will understand and he can explain my mother in a better way. But if I tell my mother directly about it, she won't understand a word, because the moment she'll hear this word Muslim, she will have reservations and she will shout at me and what are you doing and all sorts things like that. And for another week or something, she didn't spoke to me. And I asked my father, okay, why isn't mom calling me? Why are you calling me every day and asking about what I'm doing? Like, it's a daily thing that they call me every night and they ask me, how was your day? You've had food or not? Or something new is happening in your life? Please share with us. This is the everyday thing that happens. So, like, for 1 or 2 weeks, I think my mother didn't speak to me at all. And I was like, Papa, I want to speak to Mama. Where is she? Is she not there at home? Or maybe she's sleeping or something. She's not calling me these days. So he said, ask your mother on your own. Why are you asking me? I mean, now he started giving me answers like that. Ask your mother on your own. Call her when she's in office. I said, okay, okay, I'll call Mama when she's in office. The other day, I called my mom. She received my call and she was talking as if she doesn't feel anything for me. Said, Mom, yes, how are you? Huh? I'm fine. How are you? Things like, and she didn't talk to me nicely. And I was like, I felt something is there, something is bothering her. Then suddenly, after 3 weeks, they gave me a surprise. They came to my place. I had no clue they're coming. They didn't even tell me. They came to my place and they sat with me. And they were like completely silent for 5-7 minutes. I said, Yes, I was like, I hugged my mother. She didn't hug me nicely. I felt something is definitely wrong, and she's gonna burst out at me. She sat there for 5-10 minutes. I said, say something. What happened? Why are you so silent? And my mother started crying. She started crying like badly, and she said, okay, Shruti, please don't do this. Please don't do this. I'm not going to accept this thing ever. Nobody in the family will accept this thing ever. So it was very hard for me to see my mother crying in front of me so badly, and then she started, all those emotional things that parents say to their kids, especially the Indian parents. Do it when I'll die, all things like that. So it was a very emotional moment for me. So I was like, okay. I hugged my mom and I said, okay, I'll not, I'll tell him. We're not, going further in this relationship. And she said, okay, if you're promising me, I'll trust you because I trust my daughter.
I never thought during my childhood that I will be having very good friends from India. I always thought of like maybe killing them, maybe damaging them. But later on, my perspectives changed when I traveled around the world. When I thought go through different course books which were written by like really good scholars. So that really changed my perspective towards Indians. This is something education and traveling and exposure brings into your life.
This is the first time I'm ever going overseas, outside India, basically. First time I'm traveling abroad. And I go to Saudi, I land there, and there's long queue. And I have this fear inside because Saudi is supposed to be very strict with things, very orthodox. And I have this fear inside, like maybe I make a mistake and something happens. And I'm in this queue of immigration. I'm just, what if they consider this? Like, I take food supplements, do they consider that drugs? And may I get into trouble? I don't know what. This fear of unknown. And while I'm walking ahead and I see people from different places in different attires, suddenly someone from behind says, "भाई अपने गांव में तो ऐसा ही होता है," and which is a very Punjabi accent. It means like this is how it is in our villages. I'm like, oh nice, from Punjab. I turned around like, bro, where are you from? Like, I'm from Punjab. I'm like, nice. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Ajmer. And like Ajmer, and there's a very big place in Ajmer. It's called Dargah, Khwaja Muezzin. He's like, oh, you're from Khwaja Saab's place. And then he gave me a tight hug. I'm like, wow, amazing. I'm like, where in Punjab are you from? And he said, I'm from Lahore. And that's when I realized he actually is talking the same language we talk this side of the border, but this is another Punjab on that side. And he's loving me, thousands of kilometers away from India. I felt like home with people we were taught to hate since childhood.
When I told my mother that school has announced a trip to India, she was very excited. She said, you should go over there and you will learn a new culture, new things, and this and that. My father was very much excited, and the trip was so cheap. It was not that much expensive. But my grandmother, like you can say in the Hindi, Nani, like the mother of mother, you can say that. And she was a bit annoyed that why you are sending your son to the enemy country, things are not like that, blah blah blah. But my mother resist the thing, and she said that he should go and he will learn the things over there. And when we went to India, the things were totally changed. Like, they were so generous, they were so polite, they were so good. And I have told you, like before, that when we go to the shopping things or the eating, they came to know, like, you are from Pakistan. They said, oh, you are a guest, and they were so generous. They were offering more things. And I just remember one shop in Delhi. He gifted us the souvenir of Taj Mahal to every student. Like, you should remember that this is the gift from India.
So I came outside and I was again taking pictures with him and all. Then one person came to me. He said, why are you photographing here? So I told him this was my father's shop, Photo Speed. Then he looked at me and he told me, that's pet name only few people knew. Very close people, You are Hashu's son? I looked at him. I said, 60 years. This man is calling my dad's name by his pet name. Hashmat Rai, they used to call him Hashu. So I said, yes, I'm Hashu's son. He cried and held me. Old man. And he told me, I was working with your father in the dark room. and I was a young boy. He looked after us very well. Great man, he says, and took me and showed my dad's picture in his next door. There was a small shop, and he showed my dad's picture, and he said he taught me photography.
I also want to visit India because the conflict is that much high that even if you want to go to India and visit some places, like I want to go to Taj Mahal, I want to go to Mumbai and Delhi and visit these places. I've just heard from the people that it's very nice, you should go to these places. So, I mean, if the conflict is that much high, even though the people that really want to go and visit these places, they are stuck in the middle, that what they should do, you know. So it's sometimes kind of frustrated that yeah, I have holidays, I want to go to India, I want to see how they're living and all these things, and I'm sure that the people living in India, they feel the same thing. But sometimes it makes me sad as well, like sad and frustrated at the same time, I would say.
I learned more when I went off to university, when I left Saudi, and when I went to Malaysia, the University of Nottingham. And I actually, one of the second friends that I made there was an Indian Muslim girl, and it was a bit interesting and funny at the same time how similar we were in so many ways, and it was actually eerie in a sense. And we clicked instantly and became really good friends in the beginning, and then there was this huge group of friends in my batch in a similar course, and like consisting of different courses but the same batch, who were from Pakistan and India, and they were really close. So I actually learned a lot, like even through them. It was funny because they would hang out, do everything together, go traveling and everything. But when we would have Pakistan-India matches, like the World Cups, they would be sitting separately. It was really interesting to watch. Of course, things would get heated up, and sometimes, most of the times, you can't control your emotions when it's about cricket. And when especially when it's a Pakistan-India clash. And we would have proper screenings in our cafeteria of the Pakistan-India matches, and it was crazy. And India actually won. So I still remember feeling the heartbreak of defeat, and that moment is completely different when you're at home. It's completely different from when you're at home. So it was interesting, of course. It has been a great experience. I learned a lot.
We had a Skype session with the school in Pakistan, Evergreen School in Pakistan. I think it was in Lahore, I believe. But they were so emotional. They were so happy to see us. And the time period that we had about for an hour or so, that also didn't matter for them.
So when we called, they were very pleasant. Those children were very pleasant, and they had beautifully spoken to us. They had asked good questions. We have also asked questions, and it was a great experience for us. So two countries talking with each other, and nobody of us had a feeling that that we are having aggression. We should not talk to the Pakistanis. Nobody of us even spoke a little pinch of word of war.
First we thought that they are speaking Hindi. After that, when our teacher told that they are speaking Urdu, we all were shocked suddenly that how can we understand Urdu? We don't know even Urdu, but our ma'am told us that Urdu is very similar to Hindi, so we understood that.
I felt that students everywhere are the same, whether they're in India or in Pakistan. Just the only difference was their dress. Maybe they had covered their head, or maybe they had a different kind of a dress. But both the sides of the subcontinent, or both sides of the border, students are the same. They have to be nurtured, they have to be bloomed, they are naughty.
I was so wrong about Pakistan. It's really good. It's just the situations, and it's not always what you hear. It's also what you see, So हमेशा सुनकर नहीं हो पाता है. तो मतलब सुना हुआ हमेशा सच नहीं होता है.
I made a painting. Basically, the heroes of my painting were the kids only. They are I have made a border scene, and at one place there was India, and the other one was Pakistan. The kids, they were cutting the barbed wires with the scissors. They are showing that we do not want any separation from other children over there. They want to play with them. So they are showing that we don't want to be parted with them. Then why are you doing so?
And then I realized that they are they're literally just like us, occasionally a little more oppressed, occasionally they can do a few other things we can't, but more or less, yeah, they're just like us, and there's this imaginary line, and there's guys with guns on either side of the line, very annoyed at the other side. But the people there and the people here are the same people. And this is very obvious. But I actually saw it in action. I spoke to them, they spoke to us. We cracked the same jokes, we made fun of the same, like stupid celebrity moments. We made fun of the same movies. We liked the same music sometimes. And then that kind of thing.
Once you start writing, you get the same, you get the same vocabulary of the writers whom you're influenced with. And almost all my writers I'm influenced with are from Pakistan. So, or the country which was back in the day, even before there was a concept of India and Pakistan, when it was all a single land. So all those writers are from that time. So I still feel they're the same people.
A lot of things take me back to the old times when I wonder what would have happened if the two countries were together. And that's the kind of journey it has been in context of Pakistan, in context of my own roots, in context of growing up.
To not be able to go and touch the roots of where you come from, it remains a lack. How much ever you might want to fill it in with the digital media and this information age, you get a lot of stuff to fill in the gaps for yourself. But the physical want remains. In fact, last year I was about to go to Pakistan, like somebody had arranged for a visa for me. And then suddenly the Indian Uri attack happened, the surgical strike happened, and I was like, oh shit, I can't go even now, So there's a need, there's a cultural desire to go and touch.
Even if I find the house, I really don't know whether it is mine, because none of the relatives is alive now who can identify it from the photos. Till last year my uncle was alive. But still, at least I'll be in that area. I think from these maps, somewhere I'll reach over there. And that's, that sense of belonging is definitely there.
When my grandmom left Pakistan, they moved to Bombay. So you could say, okay, my grandparents were there. It's a very confusing heritage. You jumped around a lot. Sindh is your core. That's where your ancestors come from. It's where your ancestors grew up. But after that, where do you belong?
I have no identity. What do I tell them? I'm from Jammu. I'm from Kashmir. Where am I from? Within my own country, I have no identity. Let alone going outside my country and explaining it to someone else like you. I don't know how you feel about that, right? But to my friends, I'm still like, they treat me as an outsider. They don't feel like, oh, I don't know what he's saying. Maybe they have a different view of people who live there, or people like who are from that particular state. They all judge them to be the ones who create nuisances for the Indian Army. As recently as yesterday we had an issue where the army men were tortured by the local youth of Kashmir. We don't live there anymore. We live in a much more secure place.
One of my greatest tragedies was to watch my parents die in exile. I mean, people who, both my mother and my father, who had fought for Kashmir, and they were quite old, and they were planning to retire back and dreaming about where they would construct a small hut in Kashmir. But because of their health, in winters they would sort of pack up bags and come for 3 months to either Delhi or Jammu. They did that one winter in 90, and they could never go back. And subsequently my house was bombed, so my childhood memories all gone, that's my biggest emotional. I didn't go to Kashmir for quite some time, but when I went in 93, my house was bombed by militants. But when I went, my first emotion was to go home. I mean, I'm going home and I don't have a home. So it's very hard to explain what it means emotionally. And then to face the structure of my house, which was a shell, a bombed structure. I had to face it. because that's catharsis. But I don't hate anyone for that.
I kind of heard about the conflict from history books, and in your history lesson you heard about this. And when I was about 6, 7, I didn't really know that this was the culture I came from. So you just read it like it was a history lesson and no one figured it out. When I grew older and when they explained to me that this is where we come from, because all of my friends, whenever you're in a South Indian culture and you have all your friends talking about their native home, they'd say, okay, weekend's coming up, I'm going to my native home. And after a point I started questioning, wait, I don't have a native home, where do we go? And I questioned my mom a lot about that. I said, okay, now where do we go? All my friends are going to their native homes. What do we do? And then they explained to me that this is where we come from. And I think at one point, I think it upset me, but also I was so young, I didn't really understand it. It was just something that I passed. And then as I grew older, it hit you. Like everyone would talk about how their weddings are done, or even something as simple as how they would tie their sari during ethnic day. And I never had that. I didn't know how my people wore their sari. And there is no, like, cuisine we held on to an extent, but that's only so much. And I think what, at least as I grew older, what hit me the hardest was after my grandmom passes away, there is no point of reference. No one knows anything after this. None of us know how to read the language. Nobody. So all of the books she has, it's all going to waste.
With me, my tradition is over. That's it. That bothers me. And that's true about, if I talk specifically about Kashmiri Pandits, as a community, maybe my generation knows Kashmir, so we talk about Kashmir. We have our contacts with Kashmiri Muslims. We have friends there. My best friends in school were all Muslims. Yeah. So, but this generation doesn't know that. So Kashmir will die for Kashmiri Pandits. So that's something which they have to realize. I mean, Kashmir is dead for a lot of Muslims also. I mean, look, out of my class in Srinagar, there's one Muslim left, and we were a class of what, 35?
I was supposed to get married in October 47. But because of partition, and I became ill, the marriage had to be, because of partition, it had to be postponed.
When Maharaja Friedcourt accepted accession with India, then Muslim families were under fear and they decided to migrate to Pakistan. It was just about 30-40 kilometers away. We, as students, escorted them, asked them to sell their goods on reasonable rate, or assembled and loaded their goods in bullock carts and escorted them up to border. When we were returning by rail, I saw some Hindu fanatics caught hold to Muslim friends, and they put them on the running train outside they tied their legs on the window so that their heads could be crushed over the rail track. And when they were trying to lift their head to save themselves from the stones of the rail track, and they were by lathi, by stick, and ultimately both of them died. It was a castly.
Our father was a very
he wanted us to learn by seeing things. We have some land in Lalpur district, and you know these bullock carts and all the refugees were arriving into Pakistan. This was after 15th of August. So he took us to the villages. It was about a 3-hour journey from Lahore to there. What I saw there was, well, impacted me a great. You see, helpless people sitting on bullock carts with families with a few belongings coming into Pakistan, and there were so many vultures, I can't tell you. Animals were dying, even people were dying. There was stench. I can still feel it. I, as a child, didn't want to even see it. I used to close my eyes like that. But that was a reality and it was a fact of life. People were dying, they were just digging up children, old people. It was a very, what should I say, sad and very, I mean, they didn't probably even know why they had to leave home and all that. On the way, God alone knows what they had to undergo. Well, the army, some stage, the Pakistan army had, reached them and they pushed them into and they didn't know where they were going, what was their future, what was going to happen to them.
So he walked up and down. It's a big truck. He walked and he walked back. And he suddenly saw sitting near me was a young pregnant girl, pretty girl. I don't even know her name, God bless her. She was just sitting next to me. So he pulled her arm and he dragged her out. So I said to him in Punjabi, why don't you leave her alone? What has she done? He says, you keep quiet. I'll do the same to you. So I said, leave her alone. He said, he did that to me. So I kept quiet. And the servants who were sitting with us, they said, Bibi chup kar jao. Bibi chup kar jao. So he dragged her out. And before we knew what was, it was astonishing. He pulled out his spear. No, the spear he had in his hand. He just cut her in half. It was such a horrific thing for any human being to do. This poor girl just died there. It was one of the most horrible experiences I've ever had at the age of 91. I think that's the worst experience I've had in my life. The partition and all the things, how people were killed, poisoned, and just badly, very badly treated. But again, I say, it must be. We were perhaps doing the same thing to them. It's sad when human beings behave like even animals have a code. But at that time, no one had any code. They just wanted to kill and kill. All the trains were full of dead people. I don't know what this. We took partition in a very wrong way.
How much more do we want to divide ourselves to find ourselves? You know? Partition was that, okay, Muslims will be safe in Pakistan, Hindus will be safe in India. But we are only dividing, cutting down to be safer and safer, and we are actually destroying the world around us.
I was sleeping in the morning at 9 o'clock something, and I heard a huge explosion something like a big explosion has been happened just next to my home. And later, when all of us rush towards the underground bunkers, which usually you will find in all the border areas across Pakistan and India, to make them safe during the war time. So all of the villagers, all of the people were in the bunkers, and everybody was praying that let's this be stopped. And I can understand this is not just at the Pakistani side. Of course, the same feelings are going through at the Indian sides, because humans are humans. Both are suffer. Both have feelings. They are afraid of the wars.
I mean, I would cuddle with my mother, and we would sleep like that. I mean, there was always tension that might be the bomb falls in on Delhi also. So we were always afraid of that. So those memories are there.
Me and a couple of my cousins went on trekking to a place called Haribaba. It's on the back of a very beautiful and monumental shrine, which is Makdum Sahib. And we went there not knowing that that it was actually a fort of a king, not knowing that that place was under army at that particular moment. I remember we went trekking there, and once we reached there, there were army people there, and they stopped us. We were kids, we were little, and scared of what was going to happen next, we were just there, and a police person came in there, and he asked us as in where we are going. And little kids, we didn't know much, and we just told them that we just come up for a trek, we didn't know where else to go, and we ended up here. And he said, don't you know, these are his exact words, he said, don't you know that this is under police, under army, and you're not allowed to come here. We were little kids, we didn't know, no identity cards, nothing, we were little kids. And then he asked us, as in, where are you going? Are you going to Pakistan? And we said, no, we're not going to Pakistan, and we just come up for a trek, we don't know what to do. And then I remember him saying to his fellow colleague that, call the police station and launch an FIR, like the FIR against them, stating that they, trespassed an army cordoned area. And I remember he told us to get down on our knees, and he took out his pistol, and he pointed it towards my cousin's head, and he said, I'm going to shoot you, and nobody's ever going to know. And we were frightened, we started crying. And after, I think, 30 to 40 minutes, he made us sit in one place, and like kind of a punishment, and he said that my snipers were waiting to shoot you, but I told them to wait. And after that, he left us saying that you have to go down and run. If you look back, we're going to shoot you.
When I was a kid, my goal was to become a soldier or be a part of the Pakistan defense side, maybe in making the weapons or in making missiles, because in my mind, I had a thought that there is a very big enemy outside the border, and we are unsafe.
I remember this very clearly. Once a year, they have to take these tanks to another place which is totally barren, and they have to fire, because they have to see that everything is working. And it's a big logistic nightmare. All the 32 or 36 tanks, 12 into 4, have to get onto the train. Then it goes to a place called Bina Babina, which is totally forest area. Then they put the things. Then they conduct an exercise for 2 or 3 months. Again, my father is out of the house for 2 or 3 months. It's a peaceful exercise, but still it's dangerous. People get hurt and something can happen. There he met with an accident. Maybe I was told the story. What happened is, in one such exercise, he did not come back to our home. All the officers and all the other guys came back, but he did not come back. So again a panic set in. Whether he's alive, he's dead. And my mother went to the commanding officer, and they're telling, no, nothing has happened. It's just an extension of something. He will come back in another month and all. Actually, he had an accident. He fell off from the train. near the door, from the door. And the whole face was cut from here to here. The whole thing was stitched. And he came back home after about 2 months. So they did not bring him back to the family because they felt the family will be under shock. So they kept him away from the family, got him properly stitched up and all that. So when he was a little bit of normal, then he came back. We do not know whether he was in a coma or what really happened, but that was another, let's say, sub-story of this one, which was not related with the war as such, but it related with an exercise which is important for the war.
See, very recently, I'll tell you, while the protests were going on in Kashmir, so there was a rule that in curfew, if 4 or 3 people are outside together, they can be shot. It was something which was really hard for me to take in. I mean, suddenly I'm not allowed to go out. I used to play a lot of cricket, so a lot of guys from the other colonies would come and we'd play cricket, and we were not allowed to do any of that anymore. Suddenly it struck me, and I had 2 more brothers, and suddenly it struck us that we can't go out anymore. It's like you're caging you're taking a bird and you're putting him in a cage and you're locking it, and as a teenager you just want to go out. That is something that you want to do the most. And it was, I don't know, for me, I think it was really heartbreaking, because on a sensitive point of view, it was really heartbreaking because I was, see, we were not militants. We were not people who were harming the society. We were kids. We were teenagers who wanted to play cricket outside. We were teenagers who wanted to go and roam around on the streets. Any teenager likes to do that, right? But we felt that was a phase wherein we felt that we have lost our rights, and we have lost our basic human right, which is to be free.
I feel the pain, to be honest, when somebody suffers, because it can happen to you as well. Today, if it's happening somewhere else to someone, it can be with you, it can be closer to you. Yeah. So I think every human being is have equal rights and the equality, no difference if you are German or Indian or Spanish or something like this. You are just human. You have emotions, you have your associations, you have your attachments, you have your own opinion. So you have every rights which the other people do have.
I had a wish of becoming a soldier till my high school, and then I got a chance of meeting the people who are in the armed forces. I had many discussions with them, and in the university there were I remember that there was a debating contest, and there was students from India who came here, and I got a chance to listen to the other side, what is their perspective. And then suddenly I started changing my mind that there are other ways of solving the conflict also. There are peaceful ways. If I ever become a part of this conflict, I will be a part of the peace side, not the war side. War is itself a problem. That's what I concluded.
I decided to go to Amritsar city, India, because they invited me, and the Human Rights Commission, I am life member of Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, and they invited me to come. In fact, they were not expecting at all, but they just extended their invitation, and I accepted that, and I decided to go to Amritsar. It was Eid day. You see our celebration, we religious fervor with. So my parents didn't agree, and all my brothers, sisters, they were really surprised and worried. What you are doing? How can, my mother said, you you are making you are putting your life in danger, and you're are you sure you will come back if war if both countries are at war? What will happen? But I said, I am peace activist and I must play my role as it is demanded. The situation demands, and peace activists should not just condemn. They should play, they should play their role.
So at the High Commission, I knew a lady, and I knew her because I've been working on this, and she knows me obviously as, like one of the people working for the initiative. And because she was, I think, peace loving or something, so when she was being transferred to another country, so she called me in a like party. So basically, it was a farewell party. So I, with another colleague, went in like my car to the High Commission, and then after some days, somebody came to my house, and I was not there. My mother was present, and they asked her that whose car is this? We found it somewhere. We found it in a very important place. So my mother already knows these things. So she said, you didn't find it anywhere. You found it parked in front of the High Commission. So then he got to know that she already knows that. So let's not play up. So then he started asking that, who are you people and what are you people doing? And what is this entire thing? So then she had to explain every single thing, that what is it. She had to show all these proofs and all.
If we speak truth, we will be targeted for number of reasons would be attributed to us, which actually we would not have done. So we would like to be confined to a few things only where we can speak a bit. Yeah. For example, I am doing social activism. I cannot press too much. I'll be labeled with different things tomorrow. Then I won't be able to press this thing also. I'll be put out of the activism. Now I am doing activism over two issues only. That one is education and other is youth promotion. It's because of I cannot say truth here. Conflict has given us this thing.
See, it's like we have got threat from like other organizations and people, not really from the official this thing. But certainly like our programs have been threatened. So like people have been writing that, we'll come to your program and then we'll tell you what is peace like. So all of these things we have faced, and we would tell them, yes, please come, we have no problem. Maybe you come and tell us, and maybe then you can go to the Prime Minister and also tell him not to visit Pakistan again. And then maybe after that you come to us. So all of these things have happened. Even our like calendars and all, people write, though not in a very, sort of more on the social media. So not really, they have not really come up to us with, not that thing has not happened, but we know it can take a more serious turn.
I was kidnapped, and I was hit. They drove me and my son about 5-10 kilometers. Then they oh my God, they hit me on my head here, and it was bleeding miserably. Then they thrown me on super highway, and they took along with my son. They took along with my son to some other place I do not know, and I was bleeding, you see, miserably. And then I went. I didn't know where am I, and I was in a bleeding condition. I was waving hands. It was some super highway, I do not know the place, and I was waving hands. Nobody was going to stop. And then at last one person stopped there, and then I went to the it is really very, very horrible whenever I remember that situation, that call. I went to my place, to the hospital, where I received 10 stitches, and they also kidnapped my son. I didn't know where my son was. After half hour, I was sent to the hospital where I received stitches, and I was looking for my son. I didn't know where my son was. Then after a long time now, I'm repeating all that. So a lot of emotions within me.
In 1989, I was in front of a black and white television when the Berlin Wall came down, And that time I made a promise to the television, like you make a promise to the television, that one day I'm going to stand at Brandenburg Gate and pray that the Wagah border comes down. And I could reach Brandenburg Gate only 20 years later. But when I reached there, I could not make the prayer. I realized that when you go to Germany and you learn the history of how the Berlin Wall came down, you see it is not only such a people's desire, but it's also that international forces have cooperated, have come together to demolish this wall. The incident at Charlie Point wouldn't have happened if international forces had not restrained themselves. And the promise doesn't come to you. You don't want to burden God with a prayer, that you bring down Wagah, please, so that we can go and visit each other's countries, even if we remain different countries. Because even God can't change it, in my understanding now.
I always feel happy when there is a peace initiative from either country, whether it is from India or Pakistan. My hope gets stronger that these conflicts could be resolved, and I'm very hopeful that these could be resolved. This is not such thing natural. This is a human-made tragedy, human-made conflict, and humans can resolve it.
कैसी ये रंजिशें आखिर, मसला ये मुसलसल क्या है? कैसी ये रंजिशें आखिर, मसला ये मुसलसल क्या है? क्या हैं ये अदावतें, ये मुख्तलिफ ख्याल क्या हैं? जो कहते हैं हम एक ही ज़बान, तो मुखालिफ ये सवाल क्या हैं? बाशिंदे गर हैं हम एक ही सरज़मी के, फिर ये तमाशाए मुल्क क्या है? क्यों खींची हमने ये लकीरें, रंग सरहद मज़हब की जंजीरें, खाक हो गई अमन चैन की तहरीरें, बशर मकसद हयात क्या है? बिछड़े कभी जो सरहद पार, वो हैं अपने ही पुराने यार, फिर साल दर साल ये खलिश, ये बंदिशें क्या हैं? क्यों हैं ये दूरियां, ये शिकवे, ये जंग, ये मजबूरियां? क्यों नहीं सुकून, क्यों नहीं है मंजूरियां? मर्ज आखिर दिलों में ये क्या है? बाशिंदे गर हैं हम एक ही सरजमी के, फिर ये तमाशाए मुल्क क्या है?